Ladies and gentlemen, people of the internet, if you're wondering if the Ledger Nano X hardware wallet is worth buying, well, this is the video for you. I got one of the very first Ledger Nano X devices off the press, and I've used it for almost a year now, so I can tell you what's good, what needs work, and whether I think it's worth the money. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're into cryptocurrency, you want to learn about how the tech works, keep up with the latest news, and all that good stuff, please do hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification button next to it so you'll get a heads up when I post new content on the channel. Thank you in advance, and without further ado, let's hash it out. When the Ledger Nano X launched about a year ago, I did a detailed review on YouTube that covered all the bases on my experience with the device. I'll link that up in the description below, along with a link to the Ledger Nano X itself, if you want to check that out. However, at the time of that review, I'd only gotten to use it for a short period of time when I made that particular video. So I think now, 1 year later, having used it a ton, it makes sense for me to give you my thoughts after using it daily for all this time. So let's get started with the good stuff. First of all, the Ledger Nano X has been night and day better than the Nano S in terms of stability and user experience, especially when updating the firmware, which was a huge issue on the Nano S for a lot of people. Both on Ledger Live, the mobile app, and the desktop version, managing your Nano X device feels like a refined, clearly laid out process, and sending transactions is equally as easy. The Nano X has been a breeze to use, update, manage apps on, and the built-in battery makes it easy for me to take the wallet on the go if needed. And I don't have to sit at my desk anymore and plug into my desktop computer to access my wallets, which is an underrated feature in my opinion. In the crypto space, user experience is not often tended to very well, and that's where this wallet really stands out from the perspective of everyday use, in my humble opinion. It isn't perfect. It's not the best thing since sliced bread, and I'll talk about some of the issues in a minute, but it's leaps and bounds ahead of its predecessor. By the way, I'll address the most controversial topic related to the Nano X towards the end of this video, so make sure you stick around for that. The second thing I really like about this wallet is that you can store up to 100 unique apps on the device at a time, which really maximizes the ability for you to manage your entire portfolio of cryptocurrencies all in one place. Personally, I have around 15 apps, 20 apps on here at any given time, because this isn't my only wallet, but I have a ton of space left over to work with as I get new cryptocurrencies or I want to test out new different wallets. Again, this shows that the Ledger team themselves paid attention to its users and the feedback from the Nano S. The storage space itself was terrible on that device, and when it was full, it got really laggy and buggy. The Nano X has been buttery smooth for me no matter how much space I've used up and no matter how many apps I have running on it. For those two reasons alone, I think the Nano X is a huge upgrade over the Nano S and is well worth the extra money. But there is more. On a semi-related note, I think the wide-ranging coin support on the Nano X is also a huge benefit. There are close to 1,300, maybe even more cryptocurrencies supported these days, and more keep on coming. For someone that wants something that's easy to use, easy to carry, and supports a lot of coins, the Nano X is a compelling option. And finally, this is a subtle thing, but I really do like it. The screen. The screen is clearer and larger on this device, and it makes everything easier. Like, I have bad vision, like really bad vision. You can probably tell by like these crazy magnified glasses that I have. And the pixely tiny screen on the Nano S was pretty tough for me to see clearly, and it made reviewing addresses while sending transactions just really annoying. I couldn't see it very well, the scrolling was too fast, the pixeliness, I didn't like it. The larger screen on the Nano X has a higher resolution and more space to review transactions and manage apps, and I love that. Subtle thing, but you get a stack of 2 different apps on top of each other on the screen versus one. It's great. Of course, there are some things that I don't like, and chief among them is the size of the device and its effect on navigation through the menus. By no means am I a giant, but I have pretty big hands, and the small form factor of the Nano X makes prolonged use of the two-button navigation system really annoying, especially for recovering your seed phrase or testing your seed phrase during setup. Don't get me wrong, the two front-facing buttons, the round ones, are a vast improvement over the Nano S's top side switches, but it's still just not my cup of tea. Not everyone's going to care about this, and some people really like it, but it's just my opinion. Another thing I don't love on this device is that the heavier, albeit nicer quality metal frame or hinge piece that protects the screen, I'll show that to you here, when folded, it isn't attached firmly enough on my particular device. I don't know if it was something that was like a first run build quality issue that got sorted out afterwards, but it still bothers me. It's not seated on there very well, so when I'm using the Nano X and I take my hand off the metal hinge, it just flops down and gets in the way when I try and go back to use it. Minor thing again, but a build quality thing that I wish was not there in the first place. Now, the biggest complaint I have about the Nano X itself is that the setup process is just a royal pain in the ass. There's no ifs, and, or buts about it. Whether you're a beginner or a new person, or you're a veteran in the crypto space, it's still just a pain to set up the device the first time. Of course, you set up your PIN, you get your seed phrase generated, you write that bad boy down safely, and all that's great. Takes about 20 seconds. But then you have to manually validate the entire 24-word phrase with the clunky buttons on the device. This is a one-time thing, and I understand that it's done like this for security purposes so you don't ham-hand your seed phrase and wind up losing your crypto. I get it, but it's extremely arduous, and it was extremely painful for me to do. In my mind, there has to be a more creative way to double-check that the user's correctly recorded his or her seed that's a little bit more optimized for the tiny controls on the device. Connectivity-wise though, I didn't have any issues connecting Bluetooth during the setup process, but I have heard folks needing to retry it a couple of times during setup, so take that for what it is. I had no issues, but others might have. That being said, let's address the elephant in the room, and that is Bluetooth. When the Nano X was announced and it was launched, the factions started to form as usual. I think this is not unique to the crypto space. You had one side of the arena who lambasted Ledger for including Bluetooth, which they viewed as a glaring security hole. And then the other side of the arena who didn't mind it or really preferred that feature. Now, let's get down to the brass tacks here. First of all, we have yet to see a notable, provable Bluetooth-related hack on the Nano X in 1 year of existence. That's good news in my book. All the people who said we'd see all sorts of hacking occur as a result of Bluetooth, it just didn't materialize that way. And secondly, the Bluetooth feature itself does not expose the private keys or other secrets on your hot or internet-connected mobile device. It's simply there to receive the raw transaction to your Nano, return the signed transaction back to your device, and then seek confirmations from your device for different actions. At no point in time is your key exposed over Bluetooth. Think about it this way, your raw transaction and your signed transaction are all already hitting the open web. This is nothing new, you're broadcasting those things. This harkens back to the user experience point. That's the core idea behind this device. I'm not anchored to my desktop computer upstairs when I want to use my cryptocurrency. So that's positive. The final point I'll make here on the security model with Bluetooth is that every action like signing, sending a transaction, etc., requires physical confirmations from the user on the Nano S itself where the keys reside and the keys reside alone before continuing. This way, a man-in-the-middle attack is mitigated in a lot of ways by physical user intervention. I understand the fundamental concerns here about Bluetooth, but in practice, I haven't seen anything that indicates that this has been or will be exploited in any provable way except for physical hardware wallet attacks, which many wallets aren't secure from anyway. Maintain physical access to your wallet at all times, and many of these attack vectors you see on Ledger, Trezor, etc., and all these hardware wallets are moot. Now that we have that question out of the way, this is the golden one that everyone wants answered. Is this worth the money, and should you pick one up? The short answer is yes, but let me elaborate. If you don't have a hardware wallet yet, you need one to get your coins off exchanges and hot wallets. So I think this is a great option for a daily use wallet that hits all the key bullet points. On the other hand, if you have a Nano S already, I still think it's worth the upgrade. You're going to get more stability, especially in updating the software and firmware, more app support, and a much better user experience overall. Then you can use your old Nano S as a backup device by recovering your new Nano X's seed phrase to it and store it somewhere safe. All in all, it's worthy of that $120 price tag in my humble opinion. Now, if you do want to pick one up for yourself, please do so using the link in the description below or the pinned comment below. That said, there are some instances where you might not want to buy this device. Like if you already have something like a Trezor Model T or a Cold Card, or you only have a handful of different cryptocurrencies, you don't need the app support, you probably can get away with not buying this. As always though, I will link up some other fun crypto related content and hardware wallet reviews for you to check out in case you have some time to stick around. They'll be right here on the screen. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and until next time, cheers.